everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sport in Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderploeg, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, World Cup fever is starting to die down as the tournament progresses and the field narrows. We are in the midst of the first day with no games in almost a month. So part of that emotional letdown was certainly created by the U.S. men's national team, who exited the tournament in the round of 16 in a somewhat embarrassing manner, leaving a pretty sour taste in the collective mouths of fans who had allowed themselves to feel hopeful that the magic of this home tournament may have changed their fortunes. When 30 to 40 million people tune into your games, it's impossible not to attract a lot of attention, and that came in several avenues. Obviously from a lot of sports media that isn't all that familiar with covering the sport, but also from others that would like to trade on the popularity of the team, like our government officials. All of those things have coalesced into creating the kind of discourse that left a lot of us wondering when they'd stop paying attention again. On the good news front, Sporting Kansas City signed another player. Well, maybe technically two if you want to include Luca Antangarolami. But we will dive into that acquisition and what it speaks to regarding the roster development and the direction this team intends to go, as well as do a little quick look at MLS season that's about to restart. But first, Cody, we need to discuss the U.S. men's national team's unceremonious exit from the World Cup. There have actually been two games since we last recorded, and the first one was a fairly comprehensive win versus Bosnia and Herzegovina in the round of 32, which also led to a VAR decision that started a lot of this mess. I think on the heels of that game, it was easy to feel fairly confident in this team that they had that they were playing positive soccer, that they seemed to have a clear idea of what they wanted to do on the field. And even if they weren't necessarily going to win every game they played, they would be competitive in their way. So what in the world happened on Monday night? Because that is not what we saw.
No, it's not. And I think that, my gut reaction, or my knee-jerk reaction at the time was that they... the whole situation with Trump kind of soured things and really killed their momentum, and honestly I wavered on that a little bit in the following 48 hours or so, but then I'm kind of back on that. I think that situation did not do them any favors whatsoever. And even more so, it probably gave Belgium a little added incentive to come out and play, and so that made Belgium the protagonists. And to my mind, in the games that I had watched them previously in the tournament, they had not been the protagonist, and I think that what we saw from the United States throughout the tournament is that this squad does better when they are the protagonist, and so when that mantle shifted to Belgium, I don't think that they were able to compensate. I don't think that they either they didn't have a plan B, or they didn't the players didn't implement plan B quick enough, and I thought that they just looked completely off the mark from like the first minute. Like nothing went well for them really until like the 20th minute, right before the hydration break. They kind of started to get their shit together, but then there were other things that other mistakes that sunk them even further, I think, and it just sucks, because they, it wasn't just us with rose-tinted glasses. They were actually playing differently and playing a more, sort of dynamic and proactive brand of soccer early in the tournament, and that gave a lot of folks hope, and it just made the fall that much harder, and that's the nature of sports. It is. It's not that they lost. I mean, I think that I was fully prepared for them to lose to Belgium, because Belgium has players who either were or are elite players, like, some of the best players at their positions in the world. The United States does not have that yet. So I was fully prepared for them to lose. But not like that. I mean, it was embarrassing and kind of shameful, and I had like not an alcohol hangover. I had like a bad loss hangover the next day, just because it just left such a bad taste in my mouth, the way that they were just not at all competitive. And so it just leaves a lot of questions to be answered. But we've been in this position before. We know how that works.
Right. I might disagree with you slightly on the talent side of things. I think I don't think starting lineup that the U.S. matched up badly talent wise. I don't think that that's true.
Can I clarify real quick?
Sure.
The United States does not have any player nearly as good as Doku is now, or as Lukaku and De Bruyne were 4 years ago, right? Like, these are players who at one time were among the top 5 players in their position in the world. The United States does not have players of that caliber.
I agree with that, but none of those guys started this game.
Agree, yeah.
And I think if you look at and I'm stealing this from Greg Berhalter, believe it or not. I watched the Coach's Corner on this, and I really appreciate that podcast series that they've been doing. It's on YouTube. Rob Stone is hosting it, but they have Bruce Arena, Bob Bradley, and Greg Berhalter on it, and they kind of break down the games afterward, and they get their feedback. And Berhalter made a really good point. He was like, look, starting lineup to starting lineup, we were not the worst team. In fact, we probably were the better team. Yeah. And so to get sort of beat off the field like that is not great, right? Like, what he did highlight, and I totally agree with, is the difference is the depth. The quality of depth is different. So, like, Belgium can bring Salamakers off the bench, can bring Tielemans. Tielemans started in this one, right? But they brought in Onana, who ended up getting injured, right? But they brought in several guys that had not really played this much in this tournament that are also regulars in the Premier League or Serie A or something like that. The U.S. doesn't have that yet. And this was the main. This is a similar problem to what Berhalter had in 2022. There's only 14 guys playing soccer for this team. Because the drop off, and we discussed it after the Turkey game, the drop off when you go down from those is significant. And so the coach doesn't trust to put them out there because he only wants. And so when those guys have a bad day at the office, which this very much was, who do you turn to?
Right.
Right.
You couldn't turn to Xavier Gozo or Diego Luna because those dudes weren't brought in.
Right.
You had to turn to Gio Reyna, who has barely played at all for his club team, and you have to turn to Ricardo Pepe, who is not a bad player, but he's not Romelu Lukaku, that's for sure.
Right. And I mean, but even Xavier Gozo and Diego Luna are not the same thing as Doku, Trossard, and all the other guys that they brought. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like even if we would quibble with the available resources that Pochettino chose to have that when he chose the roster, the guys he had available that might have been nice to have in this game, we can quibble about that. Yeah. But again, still, Diego Luna is not Jeremy Doku, is not Leandro Trossard, is not Dodi Luca Bacchio, right? Like those are different fucking players than what Diego Luna is. And so I think that's what I'm saying is like, even if he chose those guys instead of Brendan Aronson or, carrying 11 defenders or, you know what I mean? Like all of that, I don't think the personnel choice, I don't think it has anything to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that our starting lineup is good and is probably better than it was in 2022. Like I looked at the comparison, like you take Walker Zimmerman out and you bring in Chris Richards. That is an obvious upgrade, right? You take, who was starting at center forward in 2022? Haji Wright started against England at center forward in 2022, and you replace him with Fuller and Balogun. That is a huge upgrade, right? I think current Malik Tillman is way better than Yunus Musa was in 2022. So, like, there are upgrades that have happened to this lineup, but the depth is still bad. Like, it's not like when they replaced. When you replace Malik Tillman with, you replace Yunus Musa with Malik Tillman, Yunus Musa didn't even make this roster. right? So it's like we don't like he's sort of mired in sort of a role at Atalanta, but not really, right? And so like there's been a lot of circumstances where this team doesn't have 20 guys that you can rely on at this level. It has a starting lineup.
So what the presence of quality depth did for Belgium is they allowed Rudy to come out with a completely different sort of approach and game plan, and that really, and the United States were not prepared for that. They didn't answer it. And when I looked, when you looked at the starting lineups before the game, and you saw that Lukaku, De Bruyne, and Doku were all sitting, it wasn't. My initial reaction wasn't like, "Oh, that's awesome." My initial reaction was like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble," right? Because
if they get through 60 minutes and it's even, right, we're totally fucked.
And because that signaled that Rudy knew that he had to go with a physical, aggressive, athletic lineup in order to take it to the United States. And so I immediately was like, I was like, oh, we're in trouble. And so, and that turned out to be truer than I thought. I expected us to have difficulty with it. I didn't expect it for the United States to lay over. And, that the depth does not really contribute to the fact that they all played like shit. Like, not all of them, but like almost every starting player played terribly. And it's not only like we don't have the guy. We barely have a guy. Like we barely had players who were stepping up to be like competent at their own positions, and we definitely don't have that sort of talismanic figure that is going to put the team on their back and will the team forward. Like none of those. That's not present on this team, and it's probably not going to be for a generation. And so what you have to have is that you have to have everybody elevating their game, and instead of what happens is they most of them chose like the worst possible game to have the shittiest game of their national team careers, which that's too much of a coincidence. Like for me, for all of those guys to have shitty games and perform below what the expectation is. We know that Pochettino is not a terrible coach, and so I'm not going to blame the coaching necessarily. So that's what kind of leads me to think that like the Trump stuff had an outsized influence in terms of what happened on the field.
Yeah, so that was what I was going to come back to, and I'm glad you sort of transitioned in that direction, because it's impossible for the whole team to fall off this much at once. I mean, I do think that there is a component of this that is related to your point that there isn't a talismanic figure sort of driving all of this. It is very much the rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. And so when they're playing together, they all play better together, et cetera, et cetera. There isn't one guy that's sort of responsible for setting the tone and dragging everyone along with him. So once one guy starts making mistakes, it tends to snowball a little bit. I think there is that problem with this team. They're not the most mentally strong team on earth, or they're not mentally strong at all, in my opinion.
No, they're not.
But I think that what started them having not the most positive mental strength coming in has to be attributed at some level to this nonsense with Balogun's red card and all of the stuff that went around it. And I really don't want to relitigate all that. I don't think it's important, but what did happen is it created a complete fucking show of all of this, right? It was all of a sudden we weren't talking about this team playing soccer anymore. And Pochettino can say all the stuff he wants, and all the coaches in the world can say all the stuff. Well, oh no, we stay insulated from that. It doesn't affect us. What a bunch of horse shit. That's a bunch of horse shit. That's not so. It had to have had an impact, and I think your other point is exceptionally valid, which is that it also probably juiced up Belgium quite a bit.
We know it did. I mean, we know by their celebrations after the end of the game and in the locker room, we know that it juiced them. They said as much.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is like you end up having something like this backfire, and I mean, listen, It's not uncommon for that motherfucker to get engaged in something and cause it to turn to shit. Like that is a common refrain when it comes to our president. So I think that but it was impossible for that not to overshadow. And sure enough, like we all kind of were going into this game with a little bit of like a weird feeling about it. And you can tell it can't not have translated in some way. There's no way that this whole team lays an egg at once like this. After having played 4 straight games where they were so organized and so together, even when they lost to Turkey, it's not like they played bad. They just they defended bad, but they didn't play bad, right?
Sure.
And I think that it's frustrating, man. I'm not blaming it on that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming it on that. I think that it goes back to the fact that they don't have the mental strength to deal with any type of weirdness, any type of negativity. They don't have that mental strength, right? And so
at the end of the day, they're professionals. They have to show up and they have to compete, and especially when you consider the fact that that 40 million people are watching them play, right? Like this is like a significant like watershed moment in American soccer, and they did not take that seriously. And in some ways, it's worse than Cuba in that respect. Like this was a huge opportunity for them, and they shit the bed in a major way. And there are players
know about all that.
It's bad. Come on,
it's bad.
Come
on.
No. They were
comparing
terrible.
it to Hold on. Well, no, they were that bad, but I don't think it's worse than Cuba.
They were worse than Cuba because people were paying attention. Like people were watching. Nobody was watching Cuba except sickos like us. Nobody gives a shit about that.
No, but I'm saying that I don't think that my point is I don't give a shit. 40 million people tuned into this because it became the thing that everybody knew about. Not because they're going to watch soccer next week. None of those fucking people are going to watch soccer next week. They're not.
A lot less of them will because the U.S. men went out and shit the bed.
I think that's marginal, dude. I really do. I think that shit's marginal. There are all kinds of people that tune into the hot thing because it's popular. When it's not popular, they won't pay attention. And I don't think I don't think it's a zero impact. I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm saying that is I think that is oversold. The whole thing about this was our opportunity to bring people into this game. You know how many people only tune into the fucking Olympics and never watch any of those sports otherwise, but they think it's the coolest shit on earth when it happens? They all, like, the Olympics have tens of millions of people watching fucking swimming.
You're not watching the winter biathlon?
No.
In your spare time?
I am not watching the 200-meter butterfly other than during the Summer Olympics. It's the only time I watch that shit. Yeah. So I don't think it's doing that much for the majority of the people watching that game. I think that the momentum that they created and the impact they created for a lot of kids that were watching this that are going, man, I saw soccer be cool. That is going to have the much bigger impact than any of this bullshit about some fans got mad because they watched us play like shit.
Right. So Christian Pulisic has had the opportunity to be the Simone Biles, right? And he did not.
He's not that.
He did not.
Simone Biles is the greatest gymnast in her generation.
I realize
she is
that.
Lionel Messi. Christian Pulisic is not that.
Sure. Absolutely right. Absolutely.
We've said this over and over. Christian Pulisic is not even a top 100 player in the world.
No.
So why are we expecting him to be that?
I'm not expecting him to be that. I'm expecting him to at least try to rise to the occasion, knowing that all of those eyes are on him and his teammates, and he did not. And nobody did, with the exception of like Malik Tillman and Freeman. Like those are the only players who had good games, right? I agree with you that.
I mean, even saying good is being probably kind, right?
Sure,
not terrible.
There are a few other players who had meh games, right? Like like McKinney and Balogun, but the rest of the players, right? That leaves 7 players, right? 7 players from your starting group were like.
Well, I mean, Des got subbed off at halftime because he was so bad.
Des was just. I mean, look, Christian was not any better than Des. Like
no, he wasn't.
They were equally shit.
let's get. I don't want to go way down the rabbit hole of who was shit and who wasn't, because there's a lot of that to go around. I would like to discuss a little bit about the why. I think, part of it is related to the mental stuff. It's obvious they were just not up for it. Like, it was very clear that they did not have the intensity necessary to, or they certainly weren't meeting Belgium's intensity. Let's put it that way. And then but I also think there were some structural things, and it just fucking pisses me off, because Rudy Garcia has been terrible in this tournament. He has been a terrible coach in this tournament. He got bailed out at the end of that Senegal match, and all of a sudden he looks, I had flashbacks of fucking Netherlands in 2022, where, like, everyone said Berhalter got coached off the field. Well, that's kind of what happened to Pochettino in this one.
Yeah, absolutely it was.
I mean, Rudy Garcia, who has, like I said, been absolutely fucking terrible. Like, Belgium has been unwatchable up into this.
Yeah.
Unwatchable up until this point. He all of a sudden pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and he didn't do anything that crazy. He just saw that the U.S. wants to overload the wide channels, and it wants to counterpress and win balls in the middle third, right? And so he was like, okay, fine. Well, you know what? We're just gonna physical the fuck out of you on the wide side. We're gonna just send our double pivot out to either side and just make it impossible for you to do anything with wide progression. And then we're not even gonna play in the middle third. We're just going to eliminate it. Like, even when the U.S.'s press would start to actually work, they just send it back to Courtois, and they'd create that 3 there, and U.S. press with 2, so Courtois could always just sit on the ball, and then he would just hit it over the top.
And the U.S. did not adjust.
Did not adjust at all. Couldn't win a fucking second ball. Could not win a single second ball. So every ball goes over the top, they head it back, and then Belgium's on the ball, and they're going downhill. And it wasn't a complicated thing that they did. There was just no adjustment whatsoever. I was waiting for the first hydration break to say, okay, Poch is going to see this and go, okay, we got to find a way to start, winning those second balls, or preparing for them better, or having guys prepared to win those duels. Like, I think I heard in the first in the first 10 minutes of the match, it was something like 13-4 in duels.
In duels, yeah.
For Belgium, that's that's absurd.
At that point, right? At that point, the veteran leadership on the U.S. men's team needs to show up, and they have to realize that they're not winning second balls. They have to realize that they're getting, their passing was off, and they have to start, mucking it up a little bit themselves. My preference would have been for them to just start drawing fouls, because they could have done that instead of trying to keep playing forward vertically quickly with the ball like they were doing. They should have just started play the ball to Balogun and let him get fouled, and take the sting out of the game. Halt Belgium's momentum in that respect, at least a little bit, to give yourself some breathing room. And I never felt like they were able to do that. Just that something little simple like that to kind of just steady the boat, so to speak. And so, because they weren't able to do that, they were just continually ceding momentum to Belgium.
Yep.
The point is that it shouldn't take the hydration break, and it's not something like you have to retool your entire game plan and your entire approach just because you're getting beat up a little bit. Like, there are strategies that those players should know, because they're professional players who play in big leagues and some of the biggest teams and some of the biggest clubs in the world. They should know how to do that. Just halt that momentum at bare minimum, stop the bleeding, and then have a chance to regroup either at the hydration point or at halftime. But none of them ever showed that kind of leadership and that kind of like situational awareness.
Well, right. We didn't see it never really changed structurally. Like, they never really tried to do different things in this game. They just were like, I think it's at a certain point, Belgium ran out of the steam that they had for the first, 35 minutes of being able to be as aggressive as they were. But also, Belgium was able to kind of sit back because they knew that they didn't have to do anything. Like, when they got up the first, by the way, at the hydration break, they should have been up a couple goals at least.
They should have. Yeah.
If
I think I texted
3.
you. They should have been up like 4 or 5 goals. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, the XG doesn't really show that, but I mean, it's
Right.
still the quality of the chances that were coming across were very significant. And then Malik Tillman gets that nice deflected free kick goal, and you're like, okay, we've played like shit, but we're even.
Yep.
Let's settle in, right? And let's get into this cage match a little bit and just deal with that until halftime, right? And get to halftime 1-1, and then maybe we can start making some adjustments. And no, I mean, it's 62 seconds later, the Belgium's right back on the board.
And you could tell, like Pochettino was so frustrated with that. Like, that was the moment in the game that was just like,
right.
Like, what the fuck are you guys doing, right?
Right. Yeah, and you just didn't have the leadership. Like I said, the leadership on the field. We've said it so many times on this podcast that none of these guys are the guy at their team. Like, so none of them are really used to being leaders on the field, and they're just and look, Pulisic has taken a lot of heat right now for this performance and his World Cup performance in general. I think it's unfortunate that he has been the one that everyone has pointed at as this sort of like the best player and all this stuff, because it's just not him. He does not have that in his body. He is not a leader. He is not he is the fucking shyest, sort of milquetoastiest dude on earth. That's just not him. You don't expect that of him. Now, granted, I don't think Landon Donovan was ever that guy either, and he would still nut up when he needed to in big games. So I think that there is some comparison to be had there, but I just feel bad that he's taking a lot of heat for this, because most of the people that are sort of expounding on it don't really know the game that well or really understand.
But those are two different things, right? Like him taking heat and them not knowing what the hell they're talking about. Like, he should take some heat. He should take a lot of heat because he
shouldn't be the only one on the team taking heat. There are several players on the team that should be getting as much heat as he is, and they're not. Right? He is quote unquote the face of the team.
I mean, he is more than happy to cash those checks,
Yeah.
all of his endorsement checks, and he's more than happy to take advantage of that part of it. And so, sorry, dude, like you got to perform too. Like, that's part of the thing, right?
I don't know. I mean, I guess part of it is that I don't expect any of that.
I refuse to feel sorry for that dude.
I'm not feeling sorry for him. I'm not feeling sorry for him. I'm saying that I don't expect any of this of him. I think all the shit where they make him the face of the team is bullshit. He's not. He's just a good player.
Then why that if that's true, then why was he taking corner kicks?
Well, once Pochettino got in charge, he wasn't taking corner kicks.
No, he took corner kicks in that game.
He took one. He took one at the end of the half. He took one.
I thought he took more than that.
Well, they didn't have that many corner kicks.
No, they did not.
I remember him taking one at the end of the half, and then he got injured right at the beginning of the second half. So I don't think he took more than one. I do remember him grabbing the ball. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm sure he was told at halftime, don't do that shit again. But I think that, but I mean, what is his teammates going to fight him for the ball in the corner? Like, what are you expecting? Like, he grabbed the ball.
If we were France, that would happen.
But that's the thing. The difference between the difference is that at France they have Mbappe, Dembele, like all these guys. He would never try that shit with those guys. We don't have those fucking guys.
They have alphas, right?
Yeah,
right.
We don't have any of them. Like, that's my point.
Yeah.
Just because Pulisic is the most alpha of them doesn't mean that he's actually an alpha.
just no. Thinking of him in those terms is just a no.
No, he's
Just a no for me.
Yeah, and so anyway, I think that in the game itself, there was a whole level of intensity problem. There was a whole organization. Well, the structure was actually not bad. They just didn't. They had the execution problem, like a significant execution problem, and they just weren't up for the speed of the game at all.
No, they weren't.
And I don't think that this game was being played at a super high rate of speed that they hadn't played at before in this tournament. It wasn't like it was like, oh my god, it's next. Like Bruce Arena said this.
The difference is that they were the protagonists before, and
Right.
they weren't. They were being protagonized against, and they
Right.
couldn't deal.
Right, and it was just like a bunch of like, it was like watching Sporting Kansas City hitting passes into windows that were closing too fast, just over and over, man. I mean, Pulisic was terrible. He was a turnover machine in this game, absolute turnover machine. I did think Berhalter made a good point in his analysis of how Pochettino was using Pulisic. He was like, he brought up the fact, he's like, what is Pulisic good at? He's good at making arriving runs into the box and scoring on those arriving runs. He's like, if you have him receiving the ball 40 yards away from goal over and over again, this is what you're going to get. And I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong about that. When we've seen Pulisic try to jump on the ball and be a creative progression guy, that's not his game. He needs to be a second forward, basically, right? And that is not how he was being used. So, I mean, there is that part of it. I think there's a lot of other more significant problems than that when it comes to, why the team performed the way they did. But I do think that he wasn't necessarily being put in his best position to influence the game. That said, he's a pro and he plays for AC Milan and he plays on the wing there. He should be able to figure it the fuck out. Right, like,
I mean, you can say the same stuff about Dest, right? Because Dest is not, technically not a right winger, and he was trying to play right wing, but he looked fine at in other games against, granted, lower competition. But at some point you gotta just do something, right? Like, you can't just, if you're just like I said before, if you're losing the ball every time you get a chance to touch it, then you got to start drawing fouls. You have to take responsibility to take some of the pressure off of yourself.
I do think it is noteworthy that given how they have tried to kind of enter the box over the previous 4 games via wide side overloads and interplay with that inside midfielder and the fullback or winger and trying to attack a fullback that way, Belgium has 2 elite fullbacks,
Yep.
right? And Castagna and De Kuiper, they have 2 elite fullbacks, and that was not something that was likely to work, right? They were going to have to come up with different ways to get quality touches inside the 18-yard box, and they didn't have them. They just candidly didn't have them.
Yeah.
And I think that was the goal of bringing Reyna on at halftime, was to try to get someone who would be a little bit more calm on the ball, a little bit more press resistant, a little less likely to create turnovers, and then maybe hopefully create some creativity as far as inlet passes into the box. And once or twice we saw it, but I think the game was so gone at that point that like, not on the scoreboard yet when he came in, but the vibes were off so much at that point that I don't know that it mattered. I just never felt like this team was getting back into this game.
Yeah, neither did I. Well, I mean, I did when Tillman scored. I kind of thought, oh, okay, here we go.
Right.
But
a minute later they score again, and I'm like, okay, this is it. We're fucked.
Right. That's the thing. It was just not a mentally tough or even engaged performance from the outset. And he's not gotten a lot of stick, but like even someone like Anthony Robinson, who I hold a lot of stock in, I think he's a really great player. Like, he was terrible. He was legitimately terrible.
I don't think he's been near as good since he's come back from his injury.
He hasn't. That's
a fact for sure.
Yeah.
And I think he was decent in the other games, but I don't think he was specifically noteworthy in the other games. And then when you really need him more for those three man patterns that they run outside, against a much better wide side defender. I think in Castagna they just, and he plays the same for the same club as Timothy Castagna. Like
Right.
they know each other. I'm sure Castagna has seen him plenty in practice
Yeah.
and kind of knows what his tendencies are. So
Well, that should go both ways, right?
you would hope, right?
So, and it's not like Robinson was over there bailing out Pulisic all the time, and I don't know.
No.
It was just very disjointed, and that's another thing that really bugged me is that like these are guys, many of them who have played together a lot. Like they played together coming up through the ranks. They played together at the last World Cup. They played together multiple years, and like there was a point, where Tyler Adams drifted, almost into the attacking third, and Pulisic and him were like running into one another, and I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like Christian Pulisic and Tyler Adams are literally running into one another on the field, and it just screamed just like clusterfuck to me, right? It's just an absolute dumpster fire, and and like I said, I rate most of them. I rate Pochettino, and so I'm left to just blame the context.
I think it all plays a part, right? I don't think any of it is.
Agree.
I don't think it's never one thing usually, right?
Yeah.
There are several things at play. I think it all plays a part, and I think it sort of snowballed to a point where they just didn't have the mental strength to pull themselves out of it. And I think that is, probably the only thing that I would take away from this game that I think is something that needs, addressing, is that piece of it. The rest of it, when you play a shit game after you've played 4 consecutive good games, it's a shit game. Like sometimes that happens.
Sure.
I hate it. I hate that it happens in the round of 16 against Belgium, but it happens. Teams play shit games sometimes. And I think that I don't think we need to read any more into it, like as far as structurally is concerned, other than that. I do think the ability to instill a little bit more mental toughness is a thing that needs to be addressed.
Well, I think to that end, these guys should better watch their asses, because there's a bunch of hungry kids who are coming up, and it's not going to be as easy for them to maintain their starting spots as it has been. So,
well, they're going to all be over 30 in 2030. So, and that is going to be an impact. I mean, not necessarily Alex Freeman and Malik Tillman and maybe even Balogun, but a lot of these other guys, Pulisic and Adams and McKinney's, all those guys are going to be over 30. Even Chris Richards, maybe close to that, maybe not. How old is Chris Richards? I think he's like 26.
I thought
so
he was
getting close
younger,
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
30,
he's 26.
30, yeah, but 30 for him. I mean, that's
yeah. 29 for a center back is prime age for a center back. So I'm not really, but still, like, and that is the point that I'm making. I'm more looking forward to the 2030 World Cup and the fact that we will have brought up the Adri Mehmetis and the Xavier Gozos and the Julian Halls of the world to a level where these guys aren't just going to get to start every game.
Right.
And that is good. Competition for places is good. For all the things that we kind of sort of rolled our eyes at with Pochettino, especially with the way he did the Gold Cup last year and all that, it did work to a certain level. It did instill some level of like, we need to earn our place on the field. I don't think in 5 games it went away, but it's certainly by the 5th game, all those guys knew who the starters were. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
maybe there was some impact to that psychologically, but still, there needs to be that. There needs to be that fight and that drive to be on the field. Like I said, Rudy Garcia, I don't have much time for, but he did bench Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku, and it worked.
It did work. Yep.
And he was able to do that because of the quality of the people behind him.
Yep.
And I think that is something this team needs to really focus on. I think that and it's been a slow burn, right? Like incremental growth is hard to see. It's really hard to see. Like, I think there was a lot of people that the immediate take after this game was out on the round of 16 again, get dominated by a European opponent, blah, blah, blah. It's the same as it ever was. It's the same as 2022, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's the same.
I don't think it is either.
It's
very different.
If you watch this team for 4 games prior to this, there's no way you can come away with that conclusion. That's just total. You are just being mad at that point if that's actually what you believe, because that you cannot watch this team over 5 games and think it's the same. Yep. That one game was a reminder of bad feelings from those other ones, but you cannot compare the 4 games this team played this in 2026 with the 3 that they played in the group stage in 2022. You just can't.
No, they didn't squeak by those games. They comprehensively handled their opponents in the games that they won, you know, I think that style has a lot to do with it too, and I think that the style of football that Pochettino kind of, you know, put forth is I maintain that it is more closely aligned to how this country needs to play in the future than, for instance, what Greg was doing, right? Or what even Bruce was doing, or definitely what Bob was doing. I don't really know what Klinsman was doing, so I can't really who the fuck
I don't think
knows,
Klinsman knew what he was doing. I mean, Klinsman had no plan. I think Berhalter did what he had to do to get results at that tournament. I think Greg would like to have played this way. I don't think that he's incapable of coaching in this way. I think, like, Tim Weah...
We know he's not, because at the club he doesn't coach like that.
He doesn't coach that way, and we know what the crew look like. Yeah, but
I didn't mean that to be disparaging. I meant, like, it sounds cheesy and kind of jingoistic and maybe a little nationalistic, but to just like harness like American optimism and like being the protagonist, playing on the front foot. Like we have players who have the technical ability to do that now in a way that we maybe haven't had before. Now we just need the attitude to catch up, right? We need like the Clint Dempsey attitude in somebody with Pulisic's technical skill,
and a left center back and a goalkeeper. We need those two things.
That won't hurt. That won't hurt for sure.
What is abundantly clear. I mean, and this was something that I had mentioned before.
Those are the 2 MLS players on the squad, so that kind of hurts.
Well, I guess Alex Freeman went to Villarreal this year. I'm trying to think of like, were they the only 2 MLS players in the starting lineup? Were they?
Yep.
Great. Well, I mean,
no one's mentioned that either. I've been kind of like keeping my head low on social media, just like let's not talk about that.
I mean. Jesus Christ. I would have started Matt Turner in this tournament, by the way. I don't think Matt Freese is very good, to be completely honest. I watch him for NYCFC. I don't know that it makes that much of a difference. I don't think Matt Turner would have kicked the ground trying to clear a ball and tripped himself. Right. I don't think he would have done that. But yeah, I think that, Ream is obviously, we know that that's a concern. That's an issue. I mean, whoever is going to be coaching this team or running this team for the next couple of years needs to be rolling out the red carpet for Noki Banks and trying to make him feel like, the next best thing. And then, you hope that a Chris Brady or somebody like that starts leveling up at the goalkeeper position. Diego Cochin, I don't know, like somebody. But there is potential, and that's what I'm saying. It's incremental, and incremental growth is hard to see. I watched a YouTube video by a guy named Jun Lee, and he it was kind of like a wannabe nerds primer. Like if you didn't know much about the U.S. men's national team and how they came up, here's a quick 20 minutes on it and kind of where we are now. If you want to kind of be a little bit more sicko about it. And he talked about, how much has changed in the last 20 years with MLS academies, and how, we're seeing more and more of our players play in Europe. We're seeing MLS academies send players directly to Europe. There's a variety of things that we're starting to see positively on the domestic side, but they're small steps, right? And they're incremental, and they happen over a very long period of time. And every World Cup, we're hoping for this sort of transformational change that's going to like turn us into something competitive. And that's just not how it fucking works, man.
It's not.
It takes decades of consistent, like intentional progress towards the end goal. And I do believe that we're making that progress. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I do think this is different. I do think this team is better than it was in 2022. And I think in 2030 it will be even better because we have that talent coming up. You can see it with the Kevin Sullivans and the Adri Mehmetis and the Julian Halls. And I mean, even in Sporting Kansas City, we're going to talk about Luka Antagarolami and Zamir Loiranaga and Kashan Hines. We are seeing this everywhere with very good quality professional players coming up from very young ages and playing in MLS. This is something Bruce Arena mentioned on Coach's Corner. He was like, I got guys on this team that are super young, that are good enough to play, that's good enough to be starters in this league, and this league is way better than it was 20 years ago when they would do that. And he's like, I got guys that I think are future national teamers that are 20 years old. We know who he's talking about, right? Like, we're familiar with the guys that are in San Jose that he's talking about. And I think that shows a difference. That it's hard to see, right? You watch the game, you see that they're not quite there yet when it comes to being ready to be on an international team at the World Cup, but we're getting there, right? And I firmly believe that in 2030 we're going to see a much deeper team than we've seen in the past, and I think that will be the next noteworthy step to where this team goes. So where does the team go from here? Is it Poch out? I mean, we have to assume that Poch is leaving, right? Like, he's not going to stick around, is he?
No. No, he's not.
There's all this stuff out there.
It was clear to me that the team did not perform the way that he wanted them to, that like he was like kind of flummoxed by what he saw on the field. He was like, what the fuck, right? This is not
well, but even he said, he's like, I need to step away and like let it settle, because you could tell that he was not happy with what happened in that game. And a competitive person like him wouldn't be. But
there's no chance he comes back.
I just don't see any reason why he would do that.
No,
It sounds like Copa America is going to be here again in 2028, and we'll probably be in the tournament. So maybe there's some reason to stick around for that and see if you still got the. But a lot of people
full cycle.
Like, yeah,
I want someone to have a full cycle and just give them the whole 4 years and say, you got 4 years, do your thing, and that's all. You're not going to get another 4 years.
Okay, so who is that then?
Well, a lot of the guys that I would have recommended have become coaches, and so like Callahan, obviously, Jim Curtin, obviously. So I mean, then you get to people like.
I mean, you would think U.S. Soccer could hire B.J. Callahan back away from Nashville if they wanted to.
I mean, you would think so. You just don't know. You don't know where people are in their life and like what they want, moving forward. I mean, Jim Curtin had lots of offers before he took Austin of all places. What the fuck? But I mean, Austin's a cool town. Maybe he just wanted, to be around the.
That's the interesting thing to me is like you would think Curtin would want to be the U.S. men's national team coach. He said he wants to be the U.S. men's national team coach. Yeah. Does he think that maybe he's just not in the pool of people they would look at? I mean, they can't go back to Jurgen Klopp because he's already taken over the Germany job. I don't know. Like, do they keep going for this like hedge fund manager funded, giant coach?
I don't think
Pep Guardiola kind of thing. Do you think that kind of thing?
I don't think the bump that they got in production, I don't think it merited that kind of expenditure. And so I would be fine with them sticking with, I know this was floated on the Discord, but Peter Vermes would not be a terrible idea. He just wouldn't. Like, he would be a fine idea. And I would be okay with it.
I was coming around to that idea. The more I heard people talk about the potential pool, and it's like Pellegrino Matarazzo, and it's like leaving. And I don't know that he's the right coach for this either, right?
No.
As much as
just because he coaches in Europe, that doesn't mean jack shit.
he's an American that coaches in Europe, so like all of a sudden it becomes this thing. But I don't feel like he's a guy who's been particularly close to the national team in any sort of way, shape, or form.
No.
Like if you're going to hire an American coach, you do it because they really understand the U.S. national team system. They really understand the environment. They know how to coach through it. And I think if you talk through all of the things we said that I think are important that the team works on, which is developing a lot deeper group of players, as well as instituting some mental fortitude in the lineup, that is, and then also having a clear identity of what you're going to be, that's Peter Vermees to a T.
Yep.
Now, Chad Reynolds made a pretty good point in the Discord. He's like, and Chad knows Peter way more than any of us do. And he was like, I do not want that for him. And I understand that part of it. Like, being the U.S. men's national team head coach is a fucking blender, dude.
Yeah.
It's not. You gotta have like earplugs all the time, right? Yeah. And you got to be able to drown it out. Vermees was on Heart and Goal, the podcast that Nate Bukaty is doing with various other former sporting folks. He was on that podcast. I think it seems like they may have recorded it several weeks ago, but they released the episode last week. And Vermees had a lot of thoughts about the U.S. national team, and like he talked about all the negativity around it, like the amount of negative sort of discourse that surrounds it, with all of the social media and such. And he's not wrong. Like, we make fun of it all the time. It's kind of ridiculous, and so I can understand at that level. Is that something he wants to, get himself immersed in? I feel like he's pretty good at ignoring it. Like, I don't feel like Vermees is the kind of guy that lets that shit get to him. But you also, if you have a high opinion of them, you don't want them to have I felt really bad for how things went for Vlatko when he was coaching the women's national team. That's a coach who I have a lot of respect for. I feel like he kind of got fucked over by the owners of the Current as well in the situation he's in, and I'm just not a real big fan of it. But I think, so you don't want that sort of negative stain if you can avoid it, but who knows? I mean, I do think that he possesses some qualities that would be good for this team to kind of be integrated with, right? Like he would concentrate on some things that I think are important that this team needs right now. But who knows if they don't even have a sporting director right now, right? So who the hell knows? What I'm concerned about is that we're going to do another fucking year of some caretaker coach, because
that really concerns me, right? And I heard some of the some national pundits calling for Wolf Nancy, and I'm like, no, didn't you learn anything from what happened when he went over to Celtic? Like, it doesn't.
He's a mega ideologue that needs a completely drilled system to work, and it's only that way.
Like, give me a fucking break with this shit. Like.
By the way, it looks like he's gonna be, what is it, Toulouse or Strasbourg? I can't remember which one, but he's already got a job, it looks like, in France in Ligue 1. So I wouldn't. This is a dumb idea.
It's a terrible idea. It's really
BJ Callahan. I like that idea.
There are smart people there saying that dumbass idea. Crazy.
I know. I just think that Wilfred Nancy plays a brand of soccer that is fun to watch. Right. And I think that's what they're thinking. But we saw how that went at Celtic when he didn't have enough time to implement it. And I don't see how you implement that system in a national team.
Exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I think my main concern is that they make a decision quickly, and I don't see how that's going to happen. They have no sporting director. Is Gooch going to make a call? I don't think so. So, it's... Yeah.
Slow roll it, man. What's the worst that could happen?
Jesus Christ. Anthony Hudson going to come back for a couple games? Does he have a job right now?
I don't even want to look, man. No, don't even speak that into existence.
Yeah. Yikes. And don't even get me started on I don't care about that job. I'll never have it again in my life guy or any of his friends. I don't want to hear about any of that nonsense. I'm not even going to speak his name because he makes me
I
so
would,
angry.
I would, I would probably not support. Honestly, I would have a really hard time.
Yeah,
And
same.
and like not only just personality wise, but also just tactically, it's the same. It's the same thing as what we talked about with Nancy, right? Like it takes. That kind of system takes a lot, and I just don't think it. I don't think it lends itself to international football.
I don't think Canada executed it very well.
No. Well, maybe that's why.
Yeah. How did so? A lot of the frustration is around the fact that they felt like this team. It feels like a lot of people had higher expectations of how the team would do in this tournament. Round of 16 is kind of what we thought they were, and maybe they get a quarterfinal, right? Wasn't
Right.
that it?
I mean, it was like a quarterfinal would be like the right level, and so they came just short of that. Fine, whatever, right? Like
It's about a C plus, right? Yeah, I mean, and maybe you raise that into a low B because of how well the country kind of jumped around them because of how they were playing.
like I said at the beginning, it's not the loss. It's the style. It's the way that it happened.
The nature
It's
in which, yeah,
the nature
yeah.
is really disappointing. But
Well, and when you add the 24 hours of all the bullshit around
yeah,
Balogun's overturned red
yeah,
card and FIFA and all of the fucking bullshit, you throw all that in there, then the game, and they play that way, and they go out with a whimper, and it's just like,
ugh,
yeah,
all the good
not
vibes
fun.
gone.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try to bring in some good vibes, some
All
positive
right.
vibes here. Sporting Kansas City has signed another center back. That's good, right?
Yes, it is.
So it's Moises Mosquera. He's a 25-year-old Colombian center back who was most recently playing for SC Juarez in Liga MX. Nice, big, physical center back on a 5-year deal. So they must
That's
really
wild.
like him. It's a wild. That's wild. He's 25, so I mean, it's not terrible to give him that length of contract. I think there was likely a fairly significant transfer fee involved here to get him from Juarez. So I think that from a salary cap perspective, giving him more guaranteed years limits the amount of that transfer fee that's on his cap charge over those years. So, and maybe they use a little bit of GAM to buy it down as well, but that just helps kind of create a little bit more flexibility in future years of his contract, more than anything. But obviously they also must have felt really good about him to offer him that kind of deal. Also,
Well,
maybe they lock him up to a salary that's not quite so crazy if he starts going off. There's that too. But I think that this is a very positive move. I mean, if you think of the areas that were absolute like must address roles on this team, it was another center back. It was a left back, right? Like those are the two that were just like had to be fucking addressed. Those were the first two that they signed. So I do take that as a positive. Big, sort of intimidating looking center back. He looks way bigger than 6'2" when you look at him in like video and stuff. He's just a really big dude, very good in the air, very physical. I would not expect him to
he's
hit
big,
a ton
but
of
he's more athletic than like Montez was, right?
right.
Like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
can,
yeah.
he's mobile. He can move around. He's
Very good physically. Like, Montez looked like a
baby giraffe.
Yeah, it just was not what I would call mobile. No, much more mobile, definitely, and just like my understanding is between he and Blorian, we have a couple dogs playing center back now. Like we got some fucking dudes in there that will get after shit, and we haven't had that in quite some time, man. Like it's been a long time.
I mean, it's time for the home and away pat yourself on the back segment, and like this is something that you and I talked about a lot in the last 3 seasons. Is this team needs like athleticism and physicality at the center back position, and it seems like we got that now, and that will help. That will help balance out a lot of the mistakes that happen at other places on the field, and we just have dudes who are the kind of guys who take care of business, and that's what this team has needed for quite some time.
Well, and it's the key to success defensively in MLS. Like if you look at any of the good teams, I mean, look, I don't know. I can appreciate the type of center back that Andreu Fontas was, as far as like, being good with the ball at his feet and being sort of progressive outlet and all of those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to body a fucking dude off the ball.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with Fontas is he was of a certain time, right? Like,
yes.
And I think that, for both him and frankly for Peter Vermes as well, I think that the league sort of passed that style of center back by in a big way. And
remember,
the
like
league,
Justin Hack was sort of that guy at New York City last year.
Yeah.
And remember, Lee notoriously was like, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not really interested in that. And a lot of New York City fans are mad about it because he played so well the next year. And then he goes to the Galaxy and he doesn't even fucking play for them, dude.
No, he has not.
It's not like the Galaxy are good either.
And when he has not been good.
Right.
And so that's...
It's just to tell you everything you need to know about like that type of center back. The only one that I can think of that is maybe of that ilk is Jackson Reagan, but Jackson Reagan is also a dude. Like he will go after some guys too. So
and he has size and physicality. Like he has that. Absolutely. Sure, he can pass, but he has that other part to his game too, and that's what it takes in this iteration of MLS to be successful. You gotta be big. You gotta be physical. You have to win duels, and that's more important than being a plus passer in most systems, because MLS nowadays is a more physical, more direct league, and so almost every team in MLS knows how to press and knows how to put pressure on defense on offenses that are trying to build out of the back, and so that decreases the value of slow, immobile center backs who are excellent passers. Like, you have to be a plus passer to make a go of it now in MLS, and you have to have other good passing players around you, and it's just not something that is common in this iteration of MLS. And so you gotta go with the flow, man. You gotta make sure that you have athletes who are able to handle their business.
Well, not only that, but are able to slow counterattacks.
Yeah. Like,
that is a big issue that Sporting has had for a long time. They have not had center defenders that are good at slowing down counterattacks. They're good. They chase them and get in bad positions and leave too much space, and either the trailing runner gets a cutback and a goal, or they just let the one guy by. It's been a common issue for quite a while for this team, and I am desperately hoping that these two guys are going to add some to the athleticism department as well as the physicality department when it comes to slowing down counterattacks, because there is a skill involved with tactical fouling or getting on a center back or getting on a center forward's back in the middle of the field and forcing him to pass the ball backwards, right? Like, there are things like that good center backs, good physical center backs do well, and we need some more of that at that position. So you add these two guys, you add Amir Karic. I mean, obviously visa's dependent. I don't know how many of these guys will be available come, a week from now when we're talking about St. Louis, but it looks like, at least in the short, not too distant future, they would be available. And I think that they're going to be good additions, and in additions of key areas of need for this team.
Well, we've seen so far also that, busting up counterattacks and shielding the center backs, it's not really LBJ's game. And so have a couple of big, physical, mobile center backs, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He can focus on being a good passer, which is what it seems like Wiki wants him to be. Like, that's why he's on the team. So let's do that.
It's what he is good at, right?
Right.
Like, and so you no longer need ball playing center backs when you have a guy, a six in front of them that can manage that job, and then they can really just be defensive. And hopefully that's how that plays out. Now, Moises Mosquera was not the only center back that was signed to a professional contract for Sporting Kansas City. We have Luca, and this is the thing. I have to stop and think about saying his name every time because it looks like Antangiolami, right? Like that would be what you would think. It's Italian. It's not. It's Antangirolami. Is how it is. Has how the phonetic pronunciation is in the announcement from Sporting Kansas City. It seems weird. It doesn't seem like that would be right to me, but I'm going by what is there. I said it wrong in the intro, but it is Antangirolami.
It's your classic Pulisic versus Pulisic.
Yeah, exactly. Or we're just going to call him Luca. Anyway, he is a 15-year-old left-footed center back from Kansas City, Missouri. You love to see it.
Love to see it.
You love to see it. His dad is I think the head coach at Rockhurst. And I mean, he's just been a soccer/football head since he was very young. Did you see the picture of him from 2017?
No.
There's when they did the announcement. Yeah, sort of. But he's very, very young, and it's like he's going to school. It's like what I want to be when I grow up, right?
Yeah.
It's like that bored, and I'm like that was 9 years ago. That wasn't 20 years ago. That was 9 years ago. Oh man. Like, I remember that Sporting Kansas City season. I was in the Cauldron when we won the Open Cup. They passed the trophy around. Luca was thinking about,
it's
what he
not
wants
get
to
any
be when he
better,
grows
Drew.
up.
I have bad news.
I know. But definitely this is a player who has gotten a lot of academy short-term call-ups to the twos and has played with the twos a decent amount, but also has played with the U.S. youth team from U14 up to U16. He was at the CONCACAF U15 championships. Like, this is a well-rated young player. He's 15. He's 6 foot tall. He did come in at the end of the twos game last night. I don't want to talk about the twos game because it was not good. It was not good. He was fine in the 20 minutes or so that he played. There were a lot of guys that were not fine. So that's all we're going to talk about that game. But it's a very similar contract to what they're doing with ZLR, where he's signing with the twos until a certain point, and then it elevates to a first team contract. I think for him in the first split, the first 2-date season, so 2027 2028, so next summer is when it elevates to him being a first teamer. I think ZLR is the same way. I think that's when they both join the first team. But I think it's good stuff. Like, this is another thing that has been clear, that has been Lee's priority, is identifying the key young talent on the team and getting them signed to pro contracts and finding a player pathway for them up to the first team, which is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to see if they play now, right? Like, that's the thing. That's been the bottleneck in the past is signing young players, and they have a first team contract, but they don't ever see the field. And I mean, this team is not good enough for them not to see the field, and they're not going to get relegated. So young players have to see the field,
right? And I think for these two, we're a year away from them, potentially being.
They're not going to be that much better next year either.
Right. I think
it's going to depend.
It's going to depend who the coach is at that point too, right? Like, I think a lot of the reason that didn't happen before was the coach. So, I mean, I think you're in a different power structure now where the coach isn't the CSO, and the CSO can be like, if you're not going to play these young players, you can, go ahead and get the fuck out, and I will find somebody who will, right?
Yep.
I think that there's a different dynamic in that regard now.
Agree. Hopefully a more productive one.
Yes. The other thing I will say before we get to the Kansas City Current, when we normally talk about other things in the World Cup that we enjoyed. The other thing that sort of really made me feel like shit about how the U.S. played is that Mexico-England game was fucking awesome.
Woo! It really was.
It was
great.
So good, man. It was so good. The Azteca was the Azteca. I'm not going to talk about the stupid chant because fuck those guys that do that chant. But the fans otherwise were fantastic.
Yeah.
And the environment was fantastic. And that game was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's why we watch. It was great.
And you sort of hoped that would be the way that the U.S. would go out of this tournament. And unfortunately not.
Right. But at the end of the day, like I know that I was complaining about the how it felt before, but at the end of the day, Mexico and Canada didn't advance any farther than the United States. So
Right. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all the
lining.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, silver
Yeah.
lining.
Yeah.
I thought that the round of 16 games, there were some really just amazing games. Like even like the France Paraguay game was great. The Norway Brazil game was great.
Yeah, that
Obviously
was really
Mexico
good.
England, Portugal Spain was great in its own way.
I mean,
The Argentina great game was amazing. The Switzerland Colombia game was great in its own way. It's good,
I don't
man.
know if
It's
that
all good
game was great. I don't think it was great.
in
I
its
think it
own
was.
way. It was riveting to me, at least. Like I enjoyed it because I'm sick like that. But
I think the big takeaway for me is that Gabriel got posterized just as badly as Tim
dude,
Ream did. So
dude.
it's the same. So Tim Ream and Gabriel, obviously the same quality player. It just happens. Sometimes you get posterized by big European blonde dudes. It just happens.
I cannot believe how, like, man, nobody has more Riz than Holland. Like, I love that dude after this World Cup. He is just like the most pure guy. He's just out there.
He's funny as hell.
He's
really
hilarious.
having a good time.
He's
But he's also-
self-deprecating.
But he's also a fucking Viking cyborg mutant.
He is scary.
Just like
He's amazing.
absurd player. But yeah, he absolutely just he put Gabriel into the shadow realm, dude. It was amazing.
And this will out me as like, for as if I wasn't already outed. This will out me as a complete old. But like my kids will come over and they'll put they'll share their reels on the TV with me because I don't do that shit. And half of what they look at is reels about Holland, and they're fucking funny as shit.
They are.
And,
I've seen it. They've somehow hit my for yous on Instagram, and like him get put in the cowboy hat store with the dude,
he's a content like he is truly a star for these times, dude. He is amazing. I mean, truly amazing.
And he's good at it too, right? Like he's really good at it. The content he creates is good.
Yep.
Okay. The Kansas City Current were back in action. I did not see much of this game because I'm trying to remember which was it England Mexico the same night? I can't remember what game was that night. Or was it USA Bosnia? I can't remember
I don't remember. God dang it.
I can't remember when.
Friday. It was on Friday, so that means it was
Argentina, Cape Verde, maybe?
Yeah. No.
Colombia, Ghana. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I just distinctly remember being
Indisposed.
Indisposed. Not watching that game.
No, I was not watching it either.
I did catch some of the highlights. They absolutely dominated Denver. Michelle Cooper was on one and just absolutely wrecking them as she does. The big thing that I noticed was Croy Bethune was dealing. Like she was in her bag in central midfield, finding the passes. She was playing Cooper into space quite a bit. It was a good performance. Especially given that like Denver's been fairly decent defensively. Like this is not a team that has been giving up 3 goals. Like they have been a hard team to break down, and the Current somehow put 4.0 xG on them. So like it was an ass whipping. Like it was an absolute ass whipping. Bethune had 2 assists. Temwa, of course, celebrates her new contract, gets on the scoreboard as she does. Like new contract, old contract, she just scores all the time. That's just what she does. But I mean they played really good. It's just they still need a central midfielder, man. They just need another central midfielder.
You don't think Feist is the answer?
Bailey Feist is not the answer. No. I do not think that is the answer. I'm glad that she played well in this game, but they desperately need to fix that problem. But other than that, it was good. It was a great performance by the Current, and they are, solidly in the hunt near the top half of the table. I mean, I think they're tied with 3 other teams on 24 points, including the Spirit, by the way, who are very, very good. So I think that they seem to be settling in, even with Chris Armas at the helm. So, I mean, I guess that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of his, but I don't wish him ill, right? I want him to be good. I want the team to be good.
I don't want the current to be bad, so he gets fired, right?
No. We're not like that. We don't have that kind of sickness.
No, not at all. And then one thing to look for: Sporting Kansas City will be available for you to watch tomorrow evening, as we're recording this Thursday evening. They play. They're playing in Atlanta in a friendly. So does Atlanta have no more games for the World Cup?
I thought they had one more.
I thought they had a semifinal.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just surprised. Like, are they playing in the Benz or are they playing somewhere else? I didn't really see the announcement, so I don't know.
I guess we'll find out on YouTube at 8 in the morning.
Is it that early? I don't think it's that early, is it?
I thought it was.
Is it really that early tomorrow? Oh, I thought it was tomorrow evening. I thought it was 8 p.m. Well, no, that would be way too late in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I thought it was a morning fixture, so
I need to pull it up now so that we actually have the correct information, because otherwise, you're right. It's 8:30 a.m. Central Time.
First time all day.
But it will be,
as they say, Drew. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So
it will be streamed live on sportingkc.com/live.
It's going to be scintillating, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Two of the absolute worst fucking teams in the entire league. in a basically a preseason match. It's going to be great.
I mean, listen, we have been inundated with so much soccer, like a day without it. Like, even I sat through and watched the SKC2s last night because I was like, where's the soccer? I need the soccer in my life. And
I didn't, and watching Sporting tomorrow is going to give me whiplash. It's going to be like, whoa, okay, this is yikes.
Well, yeah, it's probably good that you didn't watch the twos then. But yeah, it will definitely be of a different level and quality. And I mean, again, it's like a glorified practice, so you know, it's not. We shouldn't expect much from it.
Keep expectations low.
But they will be, you know, available to watch.
Yeah. And I will be watching, and I can't wait.
And then we will probably get back together before the season restarts on the 16th, maybe the night before. So we will be back to preview the road match against the Power Pink team sponsored by Batteries.
I'm so
and
excited.
Dog food. I mean, they're pretty bad too. So
they are, yeah.
I know, again, but it's a rivalry. And coming straight off the World Cup, I'm sure it'll be a packed house, and the vibes will be good. So hopefully, I don't know if we'll have guys. I don't know what guys have visas. I really haven't been trying to find that information out. So I don't know what guys have visas yet, or who's going to be available. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, Orborian, I expect we will have no problem with him. I mean, I don't think he would have been allowed to scrimmage against England if he didn't have his visa already then. So I think the question is some of these others, you know, how fast that happens. But I expect them to jump straight in the starting lineup for sure.
Oh yeah, it would be nice to get another signing or two in the next week as well. I mean,
right. Well, the thing is that the window doesn't actually open until the 13th. So yes, the signings we've made are officially on the roster as of the 13th. You can make signings before that. They can practice. They can do all those other things as long as their visa's in place. But yeah, I mean, it is. The window is long, and we're not doing anything for competitiveness this year. So I don't know that it. I mean, yes, you want to get guys in to help, you know, raise the floor and make the team better. I don't want to watch a shitty ass team on the field for sure. But also, I think, and I don't want to, I hesitate to say this because I don't want to set low expectations or give David Lee any more rope than he needs. But that window's open till September. So if there are guys you're going after in Europe that may be waiting to see if another European team goes for them first, I do think Sporting is in a position where they can afford to wait for those types of players because they're not trying to win MLS Cup this year.
No.
And so if they are able to get those deals across the line later because the transfer window stays open later, you know.
I'm with you.
I'm trying to be an optimist.
And you're not wrong. It's just always one window away, man.
I know. He said 4 to 7, and we've only had 2. So you know, I would hope we at least get to the 4. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
We're a little deep at center back right now. I don't know if say we deep. We have a number of rostered players at the position of center back. Deep might not be the right description, but yeah, we have a lot of rostered players at the position of center back. I think for now, it's unlikely anything will happen with any of those guys. Just until the and you don't. I mean, I think at a certain point when the roster they only have 27 out of 30 rostered. Yeah. And they can move some more guys as supplemental roster. There's no need right now. I think if they get to a place where they have 31 guys and they need to let somebody go, I think we know which direction they'll be looking first.
I'm positive. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoys their breakfast with Sporting Kansas City tomorrow morning, and we will be back next week to hopefully have a fun preview of the upcoming second half of the MLS season. And until then, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all next week.
Go Sporting.
Start doing it.